PhD at PhD, and I work as a professional data scientist at Digital. So today we're going to be talking about science and specialization, what it means. People think that a scientist in, say, artificial intelligence understands the whole field. And so they ask them questions like, hey, why does this algorithm that is supposed to be generating realistic looking human faces get this piece of the ear kind of wrong? And the answer is, not everybody who works in artificial intelligence will know the answer to that. That's simple, because people specialize. Everybody is able to pick up a broom and sweep the floor. You can give the broom to a 12-year-old, you can give it to a 80-year-old. You can give the broom to a person of any language or educational background or current position in life. You can give it to a university professor, or you can give it to someone who hasn't been able to finish their primary school education. Anyone. So that's a level of specialization that's nil. But then you might need people who operate a special machine that brooms the place around. Maybe they need a driving license. Well, there, it's a level of specialization. Suddenly you only have maybe half the population. Then you've got a more specialized machine, like an airplane, that only, say, 1 in 1,000 people actually can operate. It's not that 1 in 1,000 people can learn to drive a car, or 1 in 1,000 people can learn to fly an airplane. It's that 1 in 1,000 people actually have an airplane license. Big difference. Further specializations mean that you could be the guy who runs the whole airport, right? So maybe that's 1 in a million people. And then maybe there's an inspector that verifies that the airport is run correctly, and that's maybe 1 in 100 million people. Maybe we only have 100 of them in the whole world. So that's the level of specialization of a scientific subfield, where you've got enough people to all meet at a single conference. They're all the experts. They're the ones who know best about that particular field. Do you think that someone who's got an undergraduate degree in computer science isn't able to pick up a research paper and understand how it works? Sure they can. It's going to take them a lot of time. It's going to take them time to figure out all of the background that went into making those decisions. And so not everybody who's an undergraduate is an expert in that field. It takes time and experience and effort. So at the undergraduate degree, you get a very broad understanding of how science is done. At the first graduate level, and at your master's, you get a more narrow understanding. You learn how to do the science of a specialized field. Maybe you do some real science of your own and then publish it as your thesis. You are on the first step to really taking knowledge and converting it into something new, something so specialized that you are the expert. So when I went to get my PhD, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to spend 3 or 4 years researching a topic. I'll publish papers, and then I'll get a PhD for that. Well, that's not how it works, and I only learned that later. You read what people have done. That takes up a lot of your time. You understand the state of the art. Then you try and find gaps in knowledge. You try to imagine the the boundary behind which no researcher has ever gone. Human knowledge just ends at that border, right? There's dragons. Nobody knows what's on the other side. And then you jump and you make that leap into the unexplored. And you document it and you write it up. You send it to publication, and then hopefully the experts in the field who are reviewing that paper will say, yeah, that's worth publishing. And by that, they're acknowledging that you have made a contribution. So by making significant contributions like that, maybe 3 or 4 of them, your university lets you submit a PhD thesis, which is essentially a write-up of the process you went through, and then defend it in front of professors who are experts at understanding whether somebody has really fulfilled the criteria for being an expert in whatever field. And bam, you get your PhD. And there you are a world expert in high quality texture synthesis. That's what I am. I figured out a new way of evaluating the quality of texture synthesis algorithms. But take this, I only know how to do this from a quantitative perspective. So that's the level of specialization you get to be at, because there are so many other people who are world experts at texture synthesis quality analysis. That's because texture synthesis is a whole field. Some of it is the commercial side, like what you get in video games, and some of it is the research side, like how can we do something completely new, but not very practical. And as a researcher, when somebody asks you, oh, you know about texture synthesis, so can you implement it in a video game? That's miles removed from my expertise. So when you're asking somebody in artificial intelligence about the quality of a particular algorithm, they're able to pick up the paper, understand it, interpret it for you, but they're not really at the cutting edge. They don't really understand what that paper means in comparison to other similar papers or other recent developments. So being a real expert means you're really, 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 really good at something really, 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 really tiny. And then different experts might have different levels of ability in the broader field. More about that next time.